Well, now my modified Necromunda Ambot Ork Nob project is finished, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I mean, for as little time as I spent. I mean, I didn't get it done in an hour or anything along those lines. It maybe took me, I would say, maybe 6 hours tops, between the building and the priming and all the other stuff, and then the painting and all that jazz to get finished up. I probably could still use. I do think I'm probably going to put some sort of matte varnish on him, but I wanted to take pictures of him like this and some footage before I did that. You never know with matte varnish whether maybe you're going to goof it up or any kind of varnish. So I wanted to make sure I had some actual documentation of the overall process before I went in there and hopefully successfully locked him down with some varnish, but you never know. I've been seeing more and more people posting images of their modifications like this online, and I'm kind of glad to see other people having the same idea that I'm having with it, as far as how they're doing it, and just the idea that it just seems to be asking for it. It just seems to be one of those things where you look at it as the normal robot and you're like, yeah, that's a pretty cool robot, but that's a way cooler orc. You know what I mean? So I'm actually now, with the release of the Elites book for Kill Team, now actually thinking about sometimes maybe running this guy actually as a Mega Nob, as an Elite, instead of just being the normal Ork Nob in my current force. The thing that's kind of nice about games like Elites, add-ons to like Elites, or just games like Kill Team in general, is that, and with the orcs, you can really kind of move things around a little bit and go, yeah, no, that guy's a Mega Nob. That guy's totally a Mega Nob. You just look at him. How mega is that knob? It's very. On the other hand, you can also go, no, that's just a normal Ork Nob, and here's the story about how he got that big. But he just acts like a normal knob, just one of the boys. And so you can just decide with a single model to cover many bases within the game, which I think is kind of a cool thing about orcs. There's other armies that it's a little bit tougher to do that with, but the orcs, I think they're doing it right. I think if I had to do it all over again, I would probably try to do a little bit better, maybe on the freehand that I did on the shoulder pad thing. I wanted it to be sort of that. I wanted it to look like it was freehanded. I didn't want it to be really nice, sharp, and perfect lines. And I'm not saying that as an excuse as why my freehand isn't that great. If I wanted it to be really sharp and perfect lines, I would have used stencils or something like that and done some airbrushing or whatever. I decided instead to give a try to freehanding with a brush, because I frankly almost never ever have ever done it before. So this is, for a first try, not terrible. But I think I need to practice more before I start doing the rest of my orc kill team and moving along in that fashion. As I said previously, I made this guy red just because I thought he would look nice, red, and that would work best. But upon further review now of the Elites book that came out for Kill Team, it makes me definitely want to make him Evil Sons, which then the red thing works perfectly. So I suspect that the rest of my Kill Team list is probably also going to end up having a lot of red going on in their paint jobs. I didn't get into too much rust at all. I did some sepia washes here and there to kind of give just the subtlest idea of rust, but I didn't want to get in there and with a sponge and go to town on him to make him real rusty. I did definitely make the paint look worn. I made it look as if this was painted quite some time ago, and a lot of that is worn off on the edges from the silver, and especially on the shoulder pad area and things like that. But I didn't want to get like huge chips out all over the place, and I also didn't really want to do, like I said, the rust, partially because I didn't want him to look like he's been sitting around not doing anything for a long time. Though I did have a thought early on about like, well, maybe this bot had been dumped someplace for quite some time, and then the orcs stole it and fixed it up and then put this guy on in it. But eventually, after a while, I just thought, I don't really want to make him look too dirty. I want to make him look well worn, but not too grungy and dirty or old and busted and whatnot. I wanted him to look a little bit tougher that way. And another thing, again, is the more weathering that you do that comes down to painting tiny little paint chips, or going into it with a sponge, or doing the hairbrush technique, or any of those types of things, they just take up extra time. And I wanted to get to more guys, frankly, in this group. I didn't want to spend all of my time just working on this one model for so long, because there's plenty of other orcs that are going to be in my kill team that I think are also going to need a lot of kind of TLC, including now I'm really thinking about maybe possibly dropping a flash git or two into my roster just for fun and prizes, and to see how that works. And also because, frankly, the flash gits models are awesome, but have been relatively iffy, from what I understand, in regular 40K for quite some time. Frankly, that doesn't bother me if they're even still iffy now in Kill Team Elites, but I still want to take one because, I don't know, that one guy's got a pirate hat. That's pretty cool. So if there's anything that I learned from working on this model, I would say probably it is that I do need to get a little bit better planning out my colors ahead of time. This was a happy accident kind of going with the red, but in some situations, not too many, but in historical situations, if you're playing anything kind of game historical, then you definitely have to plan ahead, because if you're trying to play historical games, it is frowned upon to just be like, well, you know what, I think I'm going to make this M1A1 Abrams bright blue, because that's not really particularly a thing. There's nothing obviously saying you can't, but you will probably get some talking to if you go to a club or something like that, and that's a whole different episode. But planning ahead a little bit, and I think that keeping him relatively simple color-wise, he's basically black, a little bit of white, silver, and a lot of red, and then, of course, the green of his face. I think that keeping it simple was also important, and I have a tendency not to do that generally, so I wanted to make sure I tried to keep it as simple as possible, because I think it just makes the model look less fantastical and a little bit more realistic. And even though he's very quickly painted and got a lot of dry brushing and all that kind of stuff going on, I did still want the model to look sort of slightly realistic and not too cartoony. I generally want that to happen with most of the models that I paint, and I think that worked out relatively well here. So I think that, like I said, this is going to be a good starter for the rest of my orc kill team, and I'm looking forward to moving on those. I've been building some models, I've got to build some more, and then I'm going to start priming and going from there. But I will be definitely planning ahead, obviously using the red color to kind of get everybody to match, but then also thinking ahead to, so do I want to prime black? Do I want to prime silver? Do I want to prime red? There's a lot of different options there. Again, I don't know if I'd prime green. If there were models in the army that were very non-clothed and very skin toned, then I could see easily priming with the green. But most of these guys have got a good deal of armor that I'm looking at using, so I'm going to have to take that into consideration when I start working on it. So anyway, this is another hobby progress vlog for the Necromunda Ambot Ork Nob conversion, and hopefully I'll be doing some more of these again coming up soon. Thanks for watching.